face is in range. That's more than enough.
Yeah.
Alright. Now, being as the DM, I don't have a DM wall, so we're pretty
We'll have
much
to make a do. Here you go.
Make it do.
Remind me, I'll bring some.
You got 2 folders, like in high school.
No, like
where
if
you're
you
trying
go to
to
a
hide your
D&D
test.
shop, they'll have like these custom walls.
Oh, I know.
And then if you've seen Matt Mercer have like all these skulls across.
Yeah, he's got like a wooden thing.
Yeah, that's pretty well set up if you've watched his videos on how it looks on the inside there.
Yeah, it's organized.
It is.
Everything that this is not.
Well, welcome to the first episode. As you can see,
0.1.
0.1 or 1, whatever it may be called.
Depends on how this is gonna get.
Exactly. We're gonna make 1% of progress.
To where we left off is basically we have our archer in the mountains, our paladin outside of the village, Grand Dock, and I'm inside the village.
Inside, particularly you're inside a tavern falling down the stairs.
Well, I haven't fallen down the stairs yet.
Not yet, but we all rolled that before you.
Yeah, that's been pretty sad.
See episode 0, which actually isn't up on YouTube yet because it comped down the middle of the night.
You had to shut off your computer, didn't you?
YouTube upload problems.
It stopped loading in the middle of the night.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Internet?
Yeah, piece
Oh,
of
speaking of
rice.
which, I'm glad that you're gonna be doing it and not me because my internet's getting shut off. I don't know when.
It's getting shut off.
Yeah, it is. And then I'm gonna be sad because I can't. If you asked Isaac, we were at Come and Go not too long ago. I was trying to use my debit card, entered my PIN.
He didn't accept it 3 times. He had to use his other card, and it was the same pin. And accepted that one.
Yeah, and then I went onto the phone to contact the bank, entered my PIN. Congratulations, you're fucking into your bank account. What do you want to know? Why is my PIN not working when I'm using it?
Okay, Dungeon Master. Who are we gonna start off with first?
I don't know. He likes being in the town Shruengard. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Shruengard.
You got it.
So he's in that town. You guys are relatively close, at least.
At least 10 miles plus away from the mountainside.
Get walking.
Yeah, I got to walk.
In your heavy armor, trying to pick up your boots as you're sloshing through mud. How dirty? How dirty you want to be?
The rivers flow white.
Yes. Oh, watch the other episode for that meeting.
Disclaimer, we might have a little bit of innuendos in this session, so get used to it.
Getting that out of the way right now.
Can they even hear us? No, I'm not too sure.
Maybe.
Maybe. Gotta be a bit longer voice.
Well, we're gonna have to upload it.
We need like a mic right here, center table. Recording audio.
You know, you gotta deal with blue. Get us a blue Yeti. Just
Be like in the middle of it. Are we getting audio? Here.
you can construct additional pylons.
Okay. Beautiful. So Keeba and Leonidas are in the town of Grand Dock. I had a full build of this town back on my laptop at home, but seeing as it's not with me right now, and my parents would yell at me for taking it outside the house, we're gonna have to make
What do you
do.
think you're gonna do with it outside the house?
They say they need it, even though they never touch it.
What?
Yeah.
It's not mine, even though I've had it for 5 years, and I get to do whatever I want with it as long as it's inside the house. Other than that, it's not mine.
Is there anything that
They owe me 2 laptops. They broke my first one, and this one isn't mine apparently.
No.
Well, other than personal problems, let's go back to the personal D&D problems.
We haven't even hit personal problems.
That's scraping the surface.
You know, it's only the tip of the iceberg.
No experts in sight. Scraping the tip. Chilly weather today, isn't it?
I have cold resistance.
I know you are cold. Cold shoulder. That's actually relatively warm. Alright, so we're going to start with Keeba falling down the stairs. He could try to roll a constitution roll to see how much he doesn't take from damage.
Well, can we start with at
Yeah,
least
why
me
not?
waking up out of the room?
No.
Well, you want to wake up out of the bed and roll down the stairs too?
Well, you're gonna have to lead up to there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to lead up to there. How are we gonna do that if you can't make it up the flight of stairs in the first place?
You're the DM.
Exactly.
Figure it out.
I have figured it out. You're the one trying to say, hey, let's start up here, even though you haven't even made it to the first flight of stairs.
You haven't gotten up the stairs yet.
You're a dwarf walking up to a flight of stairs. That's probably what,
Okay, fine, roll.
20 stairs?
Dex roll. Correct.
Yeah, we rolled dex roll, and that was what?
That was like a
It was a
D12.
9 minus 1.
Yeah.
And for these rolls, we're supposed to use a D20
For a dex roll, d20?
for just the score rolls.
Alright. Your dex sucks!
I know.
You got a 1.
With the additional 9 minus 1.
Keeba is trying to climb the stairs by placing both hands on both edges of the corners, hauling himself up the flight of stairs. On the very final step, he takes a massive leap, trying to hope to God that he makes it at the top, stumbling down as he only hits the toe, all the way down. Then he rolls. How much damage does he take? I don't know. He has how much health points?
11.
11.
How much armor does he have? And is he still wearing the armor right now?
I believe he is. How much armor points do you have? You have...
Next page.
Is 9.
9 armor points.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think stairs have penetration value.
Someone says word penetration.
1. Keep the tally.
Not in this house.
I feel like it should only be
Just keep it any window tally.
Yeah.
probably 1 hell of damage. Why not? He's
Alright.
down to 10 health.
Great.
Keeba gets back up and makes it all the way back up the flight of stairs, heading towards his room, without falling this time.
Learning from my mistake, I'm not going to crawl.
You're not gonna try to trick it like you're a mountain climber. Next time, bring a rope.
Or use a hand railing.
I'm not even sure this place had hand railing, even though it's my place that I made up.
Can I choose the stables next time?
I don't know, the horse might trample you.
How good is your animal handling skill?
I really don't know.
Third page.
Minus 1.
Horse clobbers him in a boxing duel. Okay. Keeba enters a room 221. This room is square, rectangular, obviously, with a bed, a cabinet, and a dresser. On top of the dresser stands a mirror, ovalish, with a bit of golden crest to it. No diamonds on it at all, but the dressers themselves are hollow and nothing inside. Blank walls, blank everything, really. It's just standard wooden color.
He doesn't even got a window.
No,
No
it's on the top floor. They gotta save up for that air conditioning boy.
It's just in the attic.
He's upstairs, he's the dwarf. I don't even think he's gonna be able to see out the window in the first place.
Oh, after all that incidents, I would rather lay down in the bed and take at least an 8-hour nap.
8-hour nap. That sounds beautiful right now. Okay, boys, let's go.
Alright, that's a long
Power
rest.
nap.
This is what we call a power nap. 8 hours later.
A short rest is only 4 hours, so
We're not gonna roll for Dex to see if he climbs into the bed. That's
No.
just gonna be bad.
that's pushing
I'll
it.
just end up sleeping on the floor. I'll pull the blankets down with me.
Climbs, gets caught on the blankets. This is fine.
What color are we gonna do?
Are you sure for a dwarf?
I'm half the size of a door,
Yeah, that's pretty true.
so I'm actually able to get on top of the bed.
Keeba climbs into the bed, climbs under the covers, and rests for 8 hours. 8 hours later, the sun is shining bright outside as there's bustling downstairs. Heavy laughter, heavy ale sounds as the tankards clack together.
I decided to go downstairs to see what's going on, carefully taking each step.
Thank you. I'm like, let's see how he phrases this. If I have to roll for a trip. He takes it carefully down the steps. making it safely all the way down without losing one bit of HP. Plus, you've already made back that HP, healing and sleep.
Yeah.
That's always fun. It's like, okay, I have 5 broken bones, let me sleep it off.
Dark Souls in a nutshell.
No Dark Souls in a nutshell. You have 15 arrows sticking out your back, 5 sword wounds, and an axe through the head. I'll sleep it off.
Yes.
And it works.
It does. No, you sit at a campfire, then you just take a brief meal. Boom. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Or an Escus flask.
What about the arrows in the back? Would that be like a porcupine shooting its quills out?
Probably. Except reverse. It's hurting him as the porcupine.
Okay. What do I see?
Yeah, I think
I know,
this-
what do you
this
see?
one's a lot better to use.
Other than staring at my ugly ass face, but...
Yeah, you don't have to.
Let's see, there's the bartender behind the bar counter, cleaning tankards furiously as 5 dwarves are standing in front of his bar, all ordering at least 5 tankards of ale at once. Off to the side you see the Draconik that you had previously made him lose hand. He's still there, weeping about his lost hand as it's still sitting there on the spike.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
I ended up winning an arm wrestling match because I had slime on my hand.
Don't take that too much of an innuendo, please.
It was.
Yeah, I was eaten by a slime and I was spit out towards a tree.
Surprisingly took no damage
Which
from the tree.
also is not a innuendo.
Oh.
Yeah, he hit hard wood. Okay. So you saw those, all the other tables are empty, nobody really standing around except those 5 dwarves ordering ale, the barkeep, and then the Draconik. Left side is the Draconik, right side is the bar.
I decided to go up to the doors, asking them what's their business within the town.
Okay, should we roll for his speech? What would that be? Perception? Or
Speech, I think, would be more along the lines of charisma.
charisma?
Charisma is 11.
11 on
So
charisma.
that's
Do it.
0.
Yeah.
There's no modifier,
Yeah,
so
no
just a
modifier.
roll. 13.
Surprisingly well. Alright.
It doesn't involve him going upstairs, so he can do it.
Walking up to the dwarves, you ask politely, "What is going on around here?" A dwarf simply looks back at him. "Well, we're trying to order ale while this bupkis in front of us is trying to make it. He's not being very fast, though."
Well, you gotta give him a hand. He's the only one working, don't you see?
"Oh, we'll give him a hand, all right, but he won't like it."
There is the hand from the table, I swear.
I'm not too sure if the Draconik should take offense to it.
Wouldn't be surprised if one of the dwarves say, "Hey, can you give me your hand here?"
Throws the spike across the room. Alright, he did say he'll give him a hand.
So, what are you doing in this town anyways?
One dwarf steps behind the counter to help the barkeep as the one next to you, which, in perception, you are standing right in front on the right side of this long counter. The dwarf that left was all the way on the left side, walking around to help the barkeep as he's cleaning tankards. The middle 3 that are still sitting there. The right one is right next to you, of course. Then there's 2 others. 4th is behind the counter as always. And then you said?
What do you have your business in town for?
Well, simply put, we're just out hunting kobold and gnolls. The town seems to be hit infestation levels.
Well, I've been looking for some work and some pay. Do you mind if I join you?
The dwarves all look at each other curiously, wondering if they should allow you into their ranks or if not. They look at you. "What is your profession?"
Wizardry.
All the dwarves burst out in laughter.
What are you laughing at? I'm being serious.
The dwarf behind the counter. "We know, that's what's making it funny." "Where's your pole, good sir?"
A little upset and angered at the same time, I decide to leave them.
As you leave, the dwarves are all chuckling at each other as the barkeep keeps furiously grinding down on the tankards.
But before I leave poison all over the door.
Are you seriously going to use?
He's gonna poison the whole.
I'm just gonna poison the door.
Oh, he's gonna poison the door. Anybody that touches the handles. Getting cursed, obviously. Along comes Leonidas.
Oh,
I was like, it was gonna happen.
What? I don't know.
The poison only lasts an hour anyways.
True. So,
I think
is
that's
there a
like
hit roll on that? I haven't dealt with magic yet.
it's not directly going at someone, so I don't think they have to roll a DC.
Alright. You leave poison around the door and its wooden doorknob. Well, hold on. Would it be...
It's just on the door.
He's not directly trying to attack someone, so I don't think you should count for a DC.
Right. Alright, so leaving it on the door area, because why not have an archway for the door? Leaving the area, poison still lingers. You take that in consideration. Where else would you like to go?
I decided to see if there was a guild hall anywhere within the town.
I'm glad you asked that. Right before you is a marketplace as you head out. This particular this whole tavern was set in front of a whole marketplace, bustling with life and teeming with just as much. Like, there's going to be jewelry, armor, sellsword weapons, and other such things. Clothes. Why not?
I don't decide to take a look as none of it piques my interest, since this town is pretty small, I believe.
It's relatively small, but it's very large and teeming with life. There's a housing district, there's Mage Guild.
Yeah.
There's going to be also a workshop of wonders. I don't remember the name. You guys will love what happens in there. What else did I have? There's armor and blacksmith, just right next to the Mage Guild, because you got to have your smithy professions and then mage professions. In the middle of the town, which is where these guild halls are being held, alongside the wacky emporium over there, there's going to be a grand statue in the middle with a headless man, a decapitated man in stone, sitting on his knees, and it's a fountain basically. So the head that's decapitated is spurting water into the fountain below, and yeah, it's speared through. The guy is speared through with a giant spear. And I'll get more details on that if you do decide to enter more into this.
I just decided to avoid the marketplace for now.
You avoid the marketplace. There's a road to your left and then forward.
I decided to go straight.
You go straight, heading straight towards the center of town.
This is the best.
If you took left, you would have headed down to the housing district. Heading forward, you notice the big statue in front of you, and then the smithy, Mage's Hall, and then the wacky emporium to the sides.
Even though this fountain piques my interest and a little odd at the same time, I cautiously make my way to the Mage Guild.
Heading around the giant statue in front, you make your way around to the left or right side.
Left.
Taking the left side, you do take notice of the smithy right next. Before you was sitting two men arguing between each other about who made the better armor. Obviously neither of them, because they were both holding up leather armor and they were all in dreads. Ragged and tagged as they had appeared, you walk on and head towards the Mage's Guild in front. Enter its archway or turn back.
I enter its archway.
Entering the archway, you head into this great entry hall filled with mages in robes. Some of them practicing spells before you, but it was more or less light-type magic. Following orbs and little sprites follow along these mages of their masters.
I decided to go to the front desk asking whether I can apply or find a job.
You head to what seems to be a front desk, a little pedestal with a grand old wizard standing in front. His gray beard was really no indication that he wasn't a wizard, more or less proving the fact that he was. Walking in front, you ask if...
May I ask to see if there's any jobs I can do, or if I can join this guild?
The Grand Mage in front of you looked down. A dwarf mage! Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
He takes a step back and walks around the pedestal. You seem a little small to be a wizard.
Yet I still have some good spells on me.
Well, I don't doubt that. What makes you prove to be a good ally to the Mages Guild?
I really don't know, actually. I'd rather prove my worth through jobs.
Oddball jobs, alright. Fun.
Okay, so he's doing the odd jobs.
Obviously, yeah. Have you ever done a mage type quest before? Like, have you ever thought of one of those? It usually consists of like sprites and magical beings.
Oh, I know about the familiars.
Yeah, those type of quests are fun. The Grand Wizard kind of peers at your dwarf, Keeba. Keeba, I gotta remember that name.
Yeah.
Appears down at Keeba. Jobs improving worth. I'm pretty sure we have our Grand Wizard for that. He strokes his long, majestic beard. It's twin tails too, so
Ah,
he's like pulling
right up his
together.
alley.
He strokes with his index finger going through the middle. No, I don't think we have jobs quite this minute. But if you do come back, we might be able to grab Charok for you.
Now, who's this fellow?
Charok is our Grand Wizard. He is, how do you say, troubled at times. Always thinking people are out to get him.
Why?
Well, being the Grand Wizard, people are always out to smite him, hoping to become the next Grand Wizard.
But would you have to challenge him first?
No age overcomes us all, and that's how we gain our mage at one point or another.
Very well. What time would he come back?
Everybody, grab your cowboy hats, because it's going to be high noon when he gets back. He gets back around high noon. You might want to come back around then.
Very well. I'll go explore the town for a bit.
Oh, you're new to the town then?
Yes, I am.
What would you like to know about it, if you need anything at all?
I think I'll be able to figure it out on my own.
The wizard before you nods. Alright, have safe travels then.
Very well. And I decide to exit the guild hall. Then head to the marketplace.
Heading back to the marketplace, you do have to come across the statue again.
I take the same route, this time going right.
Yeah, because you have to go right. If you go left, you're gonna
Yeah.
kind of like make a circle around it.
Yeah.
Taking the left or the right side this time. Still your left side if you look at it the right way. You don't encounter any troubles, but you do see that the two blacksmiths were kind of arguing yet again about whose armor was better. This time both holding up chainmail that looked oddly enough like the leather before them. Still rather ragged and tagged, but the chainmail itself never seemed to be enclosed. One of the chest pieces seemed to be ripped with a hole. And you gotta think, chainmail isn't easy to break, but it's still flimsy enough.
I decided to go up and confront them, asking how this chainmail was pierced through.
You okay, Sam?
Alright, so just for a rundown, this is still his charisma roll, but you can also go insight to try and sense a motive.
True. But this is where I'm gonna stop and go to your side of the story.
Oh boy, high in the mountains, here we go.
Yeah. High up into the mountains of Shrewengod. Zephyr, he's quite troubled on with his longbow, needing to get a new string for it. He had previously launched an arrow so high and mighty up into the air, trying to strike down a bird for his meal, and yet the bowstring itself snapped, letting the arrow fall out of it and bounce down the mountainside.
It's a bad day, okay?
This is where you can take action.
Alright.
You broke it! Oh, there's the arrow!
Oh, that wasn't important.
It's a nail, it'll probably go back.
Probably.
What, fell on the chair?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Alright. So,
10 minutes later, we're gonna start to hear creaking. Then we're all just gonna be like,
yeah.
Just waiting for it to collapse.
more or less, I'm probably gonna be the only one that doesn't do that, but we're all just gonna be like, keep it on that side, please.
Alright. I go looking for someone who could get me a bowstring.
Alright, now this is where I want you to tell me about this mountainside. This is your area.
Alright. It's a small little village. Mostly it just deals with passing by travelers. There are a few shops, but it's cold enough a lot of them are just trying to huddle by a fire for warmth.
So you would say that this town itself has like a grand fire pit in the middle?
I'd say so, yes.
Because I'm trying to build up an image of this little peaceful little town up against a mountainside. And I'm also trying to see if I can team it with life and other forces.
Well, there are some races, some dragonborn, some dwarves, a few humans, but apart from that, not a whole lot more.
I didn't figure. Alright. So down the mountainside you go. Do you want to take the left side or right side?
I'll go right.
Right side is the steeper but quickest way down. You do take note of that, please.
Right.
Heading
Well,
down.
you've got the pen.
I know. I want you to take note of that.
Right.
Heading down the mountainside with a very steep jump. He doesn't take damage along the way. He's jumping little rocks to rock.
I just need to look at my acrobatics score just in case.
Alright. You're not going to trip down the mountainside yet. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yet. Hopefully. Down he makes his way down the mountainside. The steep path before him was littered with rocks and turns and twists and bobs and weaves. Little branches make its way out, but that was because the life before it couldn't make its way through past the snow barrier. Almost making his way down, he's on the second side of the mountain this time. Almost all the way down, and he could see the grand city below him. You want to take any action to that? You want to?
My main priority is to go down to at least a street so that I can start looking for wares.
Okay, you're gonna look for the. You're making your way down to a street so that way you can make it into the town.
Yes.
All right. High above, you can hear birds chirping. Well, you're relatively close to the ground at this point. You made it all the way down almost. You can see road. Birds are still high above you because of the trees. Birds high above can still be heard chirping, but they are very distant. As you can see that the forest before you was a little bit of ways away. Making your way down to the road. This road itself was a merchant trail. Heading it to the left could lead to unknown wares and travels. To the right, of course, would lead you to Stromgard.
I'm gonna go right.
Heading to Stromgard, seeing the grand fire pit already from the entrance. Heading into this town with its... Would you say there would be an archway or just a big open gate?
There's just a huge gate.
Huge gate. Would it be manned by guards or...
Maybe one guard.
Lazy town, alright. This wall was somewhat open, but still one of the doors were closed, leaving one wide open by the guard with the wide open door standing high above. He peers down at you from high above on his perch. Oi, what do you want?
I'm simply seeking safe travels, sir.
What'd you say?
Alright.
No, you're fine. You can get in the character. I don't care.
I make eye contact with the guard and say, I'm simply looking for a few wares, good sir.
The guard nods. We're all looking for wares. What is it that you're particularly looking for?
New string from longbow, sir.
String for longbow? More than certain we got that. He points at the open door. Head your way in, but don't make any mischievous talk.
I give him a nod and head on inside.
You enter this grand gate, seeing the biggest of fire pits before you. A lot of wood could be put into it, but you notice that there's not much wood around. You might want to take also a mental note of that, because a fire pit that doesn't have wood around is kind of suspicious, wouldn't you say? Making your way around, you can see that there's a small little shop district right around the fire to keep huddled and warm, but not close enough to set everything ablaze of their wares. Seeing around, there's people with longbows, people with armors of leather and chainmail alike. So, what kind of way are you going to go with this? You are looking for string, but...
I'm going to look for the closest armory, see if I have what I'm looking for.
Zephyr starts strolling around, seeing a little stand with armoring wares of such maces and swords alike. One longbow in particular, and probably a leather chainmail. It's a leather with mixed with chainmail. Basically leather patches here, chainmail down.
I see.
It's a pretty cool thing if you think about it. It's a mixed variance and it doesn't really mix with the armor though. You would love to see what the abilities could be on with that. You do taking notice of that one stand, there's across this little fire pit a big blacksmith. A blacksmith. Which one do you want to take?
I'll just go for the armory.
The armor and the blacksmith?
The armor.
The armor over here, alright. You head towards the stand, seeing that there is a dragonborn standing before you. He seems to be of a pale race, kind of towards your end. Cold.
A white.
Yes. Pale.
That's not racist, that's simply scale color.
So scaleless.
That would be. Are you black scales or white scales? I am red. You racist.
It's not scaleless if I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
I look at the shop owner. Hello. I'm looking for a new string for this longbow. Take it out. Put it down in front of him.
The merchant picks up the longbow, looking at it. How did you snap the string?
The bird was evasive.
You didn't fire the arrow, but it fell down the mountainside. The bird was very evasive then.
I never said I was going to say the whole truth.
That's awesome. The merchant nods his head. Yeah, shakes his head. Nodding his head, he looks back at you. So you are looking for string for such a weapon.
Yes, sir.
He looks underneath his cabinet. The cabinet below him had probably 2 shelves or 3. You couldn't see from where you were standing. He holds up mighty different lengths of string, all of them consisting of different thicknesses. We're not going to say girth, because...
That's 5.
No, we're at
Take a hit.
We're at 6 now.
Take a hit. Alright.
I look at the strings and I just point to one that was most like the one that was already on my bow. This, please.
He nods, going back underneath and pulling out a whole coil of the different type of string you were talking about. Pulling it before you, he says, 5 gold, why not?
Here's my pouch. And gold.
You also might want to, I don't know if you can edit that, if you even have it there. The shopkeeper takes the 5 gold and puts it into his little safe below. You can hear the clattering of change hitting the somewhat empty box below.
I decide to make a conversation. Any good business around here, sir?
He shakes his head. Not many wandering adventurers coming for my side of the business. Lots coming for the food and entertainment, but none really sticking around long enough to buy weapons.
It's a shame.
It is. Though we do have a bit of troubles. Wood is being a little scarce, but Definitely not for the wood of the fireplace over there. I'm talking about personal matters now. My house itself doesn't... We can't find enough wood to keep the fireplace going.
Well, look, I'm with a bit of confusion. There wasn't much wood near the fire pit whenever I walked in.
Oh, you're gonna take notice about that? Yes, the fireplace itself is, enchanted, so to say.
Enchanted house, or?
A mage a while back, he, came here for a personal business matter. He looked at the fireplace and saw that it was growing dim, and he just lit it ablaze. Never once did the flame flicker or stop after that.
Well, if the fire pit out there isn't consuming all the wood, where is it going?
The wood that we used to have to put into the flame itself is almost scarcely gone. We would go over to the forest, but there's been noises coming from it. Nobody's brave enough to venture in.
Some sort of beast?
I would say so, but nobody can grasp what kind of beast it could be. The sound alone was frightful enough for anybody to run.
Oh. I gotta take a look at that.
He looks at you with his head cocked. Take a look, you say.
Well, if it's giving the people of this village trouble, it must be dealt with.
He nods his head. I agree, but you gonna do it alone?
Unless you know of someone that would be willing to take up arms with me, yes.
He nods his head. A couple miles south, there's supposed to be a village. Grandu? The name slips me at the moment. There's a mage guild there, there's probably a couple of willing fighters in the tavern.
Well, if that's what it takes, then so be it. I shall head to this place. I shall find some reinforcements, and I shall rid this village of the sounds and the beasts that plague it.
He nods his head. Thank you. But I don't, per se, have anything to pay with. I could scour the town itself and see if any willing Ooh, what's the word I'm looking for there? Patrons, yes, thank you. Willing patrons are willing to chip in for the payment.
Save it for when the job is done.
He nods with a smirk on his face. What kind of alignment are you? Do you have a certain motive?
I just do what needs to be done, sir.
He nods, thinking thoughtfully to himself. Glad to hear somebody has the best interests of towns in mind. He tends to his wares in front of him, setting a bit of more leather onto the counter itself.
I take my bowstring and I take my longbow, give a nod. I'll see you when the job is done.
He nods. Have a good travel, sir. I hear that the roads ahead to the Grand Dock town itself venture through forests and jungles a bit.
Well, at least I won't be bored.
That's a good statement. Zephyr leaving the gate itself, the guard looks down quizzically. Did you find what you were needing?
I hold up the small coil of the bowstring. Found it.
The guard looks down. Looks to be 20 feet of cable there. Hopefully you can make use of it.
Oh, I've got a very special purpose in mind, sir. I can guarantee you that.
Hanging or strangling?
Is that what he says?
Yes.
We'll see.
Tie up.
Oh my.
Right, 8.
Sorry, but Zephyr's a little tied up at the moment.
Got it.
How's that going?
It depends on if that's gonna actually happen, but I look up to the guard and say, I'll find a use for this, don't you worry.
The guard smiles and laughs. Just try not to get too murderous, please. And keep it away from the town.
Yes. Not this town, anyway.
Isaac, watch out. He's gonna strangle you about 5 feet from the ground.
No, I'll just hold my arm level and he'll still choke.
Oh, you better keep a distance. I might sleep you.
Touch.
You don't have that spell prepared. I have nothing to worry about yet.
Yeah, 5 turns later. Alright. Zephyr is making his way through open plains on the road. Before him sits a bit of a forest, a small stretch of forest. Leading in, the road itself takes a little bit of a left turn into it.
I follow the left turn.
Taking the left turn into it, there's a bit of howling, a bit of birds chirping, a bit of woodpecking, but nothing really out of the ordinary.
I will continue on this course due south at a normal pace.
Good. You might trip over a branch if you were doing a little too fast.
I got +2 dexterity. What do you want about?
As if you didn't trip over a branch, you tripped over a pebble.
No, the one that tripped over a branch was him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
And in
it.
his defense, it was the middle of the night.
Yeah.
In a cave, wasn't it?
No, it was just in a forest.
Yeah.
Oh. Alright. The wildlife itself, the teeming plant life, seemed to be almost trying to grab out at you, but the breeze itself kept on flowing it back into place. The trees itself, they were big, teeming with life, though there was some smaller trees and saplings trying to grow but not getting enough light. The water itself were pretty adequate. These plants, they were well nurtured. A little well too nurtured, seeing that there was a bit of no weeds growing.
I look around and see if there's any particular reason that they're being nurtured in this way.
We're gonna roll a perception check.
Right. Perception is +2, and I already have 12.
Yep.
9.
Plus 2, that's 11.
That's an 11.
Looking around the forest, knowing that there is no weeds to be seen, there's a bit of smoke piling up through, but not enough to burst through the leaves of the trees. It was just far enough that you can make out a little bit in the distance to the right.
I go to the right and see what's making the smoke.
Heading towards the smoke, there was a bit of a cracking and just branches cracking. We're just gonna make sure that detail is out there. Branches cracking and twigs being snipped in two. There was a bit of crackling like fire, and a house before you was starting to be born.
Is there anyone that's nearby?
Nearby, let's see. The house itself is a bit of on the old side. There was a bit of vines hanging down, but smoke coming out of a small yet brick-type chimney. There was no lights, no candlelight in the window, but there was broad daylight, so candlelight was pretty much useless. It wasn't dark on the inside, by any means. There was light being flown through. There was a small staircase leading up to this little house.
I try and glance in the window to see if there's anyone inside.
Taking a, would you roll sneak on that? I don't know.
I mean, if you want me to roll stealth,
We're not gonna roll stealth. This isn't a hostile environment yet. Well, it depends on what you say, really.
fair enough.
Taking a peek through the window. Yeah, peer. You're looking through a window and you're staring at a pier. Taking a peek in through the window, there's chairs. No, there's 2 chairs, a table, and a candle that isn't lit. Beyond that is the fireplace that stood before you. And on to the right side was what seems to be a person standing and talking to a person sitting in a chair. One seems to be a woman that's sitting in the chair and male standing up.
I'm assuming I can't listen in.
Too far away, they're at the very end of the house.
Alright.
Bye!
You know what, they look peaceful. I'm gonna leave them alone.
You leave them alone walking back down the steps. Nothing seemed to cry out at you as dangerous. There wasn't no screaming, there wasn't no hollering, so you could only assume that there was a peaceful talk going between the two. Walking away from it, there was nothing really seeming to be boring. You could see a little flower pit born before you walk back through the way you came.
How pleasant.
Red roses and yellow dandelions peer through, almost as if they were alternating. One red rose, yellow, but then there was a purple that stood out.
I have +1 nature, I'd like to examine it.
Yeah, well, taking a peek at the purple rose in front, nothing really struck odd about it, except the thorns that stood out from the sides. They were a bit on the red and yellow side, almost like they were scorching hot.
Curious, but also legal. It's not Belfort, so.
The flowers around it seemed to be fine, nothing really being odd about it. You just only imagine what you could see if you were high above, looking down.
Job comes first, I'm heading back to the road and then do second.
I'm saying right now, as you being the player, being high up could be a perk as to seeing what that purple flower might be for.
Alright then. Is there any place around for me to get high? And not in that way.
Yes, there's a wheat plate right over there.
There's cannabis.
There's trees around, all seeming to be of different lengths, but none of them striking out to be the tallest of the tall. There was spruce and oak mixed. How do you turn off the music? It was so good.
They probably couldn't hear us.
Copyright strike.
Sure.
We already got it. We're missing Leonidas.
And we don't even have my Teflon Paladin because we're not going
He
to
needs
have
his
him
table.
yet. Noise.
It's true.
Dr. Pepper fan, Dr. Pepper fan, Dr. Pepper fan. We have a Sunkist fan over there.
I'm a fan of everything.
A fan of everything. Do we have a fan? Do we have a fan of a fan? Do we have a big fan of a fan? That guy right there. Do you want to climb a tree and see if you can make out anything of this?
The tallest tree in my nearest vicinity, I walk up to it and I start climbing.
Taking the climb above, would you roll dex for that? Not
I think that would be something like
acrobatics.
which I have a +2.
Yeah, well,
14.
16.
I would say that you just take one giant fucking leap and make it all the way to the top, but
Make it 2.
Leg
Yeah.
day.
leg day. He didn't skip leg day on any day of the week.
Well, he does live in the mountains.
Yeah, he's gotta hike, he's gotta tread that crap.
Why do you think my strength stat is 17?
Grabbing the closest branch and lowest hanging one, Zephyr makes a big grip around the first one, throwing himself up with only one arm, grabbing the next branch that was about 20 feet high with his left, making his way up in only 2 strokes. Take a hit!
I see if the view is any better from the top of this tree.
Looking down at the flower pot, flower garden. Looking down at the flower garden, you notice that this purple flower wasn't the only one around. All of them, there was, I'd say about 4 sitting around, almost as if they were making a complete happy smile.
Did I seriously climb up a tree just for that?
Maybe. But you might want to try to do something out of that. Whatever. Make a comment, do something.
I look down. Well, that's useless.
Almost all at once, the plants themselves make one of the purple flowers disappear as if it was winking.
Oh god. My reaction exactly, dog.
more flowers begin to enclose the two eye canopuses. And almost as if the mouth itself was moving, more flowers started to pierce out as being purple. Almost as if it was opening its mouth to laugh.
Dog noises.
Thanks for the howling!
I quickly get down the tree.
Climbing down the tree in a bit of an aspiratic sprawl, he makes it to the ground safely, but isn't at all traumatized by what he just saw.
I walk up to the flower bed and I just ask, what the hell is this?
One of the flowers is kind of being in a dancing motion. It was a red rose. It's just dancing. It's not. It's like the only one being in a frantic motion, while the other ones are like blowing in the wind.
I put my hand around the rose, being careful of the thorns.
The rose itself still tries to wiggle in your grasp, but it's not at all being contested by your hand.
Okay, I take my hand off of it and I walk up to the cabin, knocking on the door.
With a 1, 2, 3. What was that? 4? 3? Yeah. 4.
I knock twice. Open up.
Could be heard from the other side. A loud knock, as you will. The door opens and a man stands before you. Hello. He starts looking around. Is something the matter?
I don't mean to sound insane, sir, but I think your flower bed just winked at me.
The man chuckles. Honey, he's admiring your work. The woman gets out of the chair and starts walking over, smiling. Whatever is the matter?
What sort of wizardry do you have of your flowers?
The woman walks out of the cabin grabbing a little trowel with her. Nothing is really magical about these flowers. They just absolutely teem here with life. Quite real life. She takes the trowel and takes a stab into the dirt, digging up another flower as it produces from the ground. It didn't seem to be hindered by the dirt.
Okay.
Like, no dirt was on it. No dirt was on the flower, but it just got dug up out of the ground.
What makes this land so magical?
She kind of takes a thought. I don't know. Outside of the forest, it just doesn't seem to be as life-teeming. But once you enter the forest, it's almost as if it's a whole different place. Another plane of oblivion.
Tell me, have you heard any sounds from the forest, as if a beast were afoot?
The man takes a sharp turn and heads back inside. The woman herself kind of stares blankly into the flower pit. Growls and howls have been heard from out yonder. She points forward, heading due east. Yeah, right? You were heading south.
Yeah.
East, yeah.
Oh, God. Thank you for your explanation, ma'am. Very nice flower bed. Trying to come up with words.
Like trying to fumble for him,
Yeah.
Mr. Fumble Fingers.
I fumble with words as much as he's fumbling for his quarterstaff.
Is it a short sword at the very beginning? Makes me wonder how he grasped his actual short sword.
I give her a little nod and I say, I'll just be on my way. Good day and take care.
She nods and goes back to tenderly, taking care of her flowers. You can't speak today.
Alright, I turn back to the path from which I strayed. Yeah, I try to get back on it and continue heading due south.
Heading south, you could see the break for the forest ahead. You had probably traveled close to 5 miles away from the house. Seeing the break in front of you was kind of a relief. Exiting this magical forest might be your undoing, but yet your greatest defeat yet.
I continue south toward Grand Dock or wherever.
Randock. Exiting this forbidden land behind you, you can see the great and mighty town Grandock right in front. Probably a good 20 miles.
What can I see from this range?
From this range, you could see about 5 towers sticking out from a couple of the sides of the town itself. You could see a big archway that kind of like towards the left side. You can notice that, but you can't see fully into it. You can make a bare glimpse of the spear jutting out of the statue.
Alright, I start heading for the nearest gate.
It took you about 2 hours to make it there with your speed, correct? What's your speed, isn't it?
Speed is 30.
Yeah, we'll say 2 hours. Making it there in 2 hours, the sun is starting to make its way across the sunset. It's not going down, but it's getting there. You make your way up to the entrance gate. There is no exit gate. There's only one entrance and exit. Once you enter, you're gone. You're told. Entering the gate, there ain't no guards guarding it. You enter through and immediately come across the marketplace.
I shall go towards the place where I think I can put the string on my bow, because I still haven't done that.
Alright, so you want to head to the tavern or no?
Sure, why not?
Because it's right there in this little...
Alright, in that case, I head for the tavern.
Heading towards the tavern, there ain't no real talk of anything, except a small dwarf was seen around with wielding a mage's staff.
Quarterstaff and an orb.
Oh, don't forget about the dragonborn in the corner.
Don't worry, nobody cares about him.
Alright, I go up to the bartender and I ask him, how much for a room for the night?
The barkeep is putting down his final tankard, looking around, seeing only you in the room and another dragonborn in the corner, still weeping about his lost hand. For a room, I don't accept payment right now. Oddball job. I don't know. He takes a look at the wall right next to him. There's a bounty chart sitting right there. I'll tell you what. You clear one of those bounties, you get a free room.
Very well, sir. I look over to the board.
As you, one second. As you look over to the board, the bartender picks up a heaping pile of gold and sets it onto the table. The dwarves from before were very generous. He kind of walks off and goes into a little side corner office, setting it down very heavily against the ground, even though he's trying to be gentle. From the board, you could see that there was a couple of bandit-type missions set afoot. A couple of them saying, there's a gnoll-infested forest above. Kind of figured, seeing as gnolls are typically in the forests, hunting for cities and small teeming life to kill. There's also a spider hit list. There is one named Big Mamba. It's a spider nest mission. And then there was an assassination contract for a bandit's head named Marquise. But there was no picture labeled for him.
Okay. I will look at the spider poster.
Taking a closer look at the spider poster, there ain't a real big image of the spider hanging before you. All you could really see was a kind of a shadowy black widow marking on it, on the back side of the spider. You can only assume that the spider could be bigger than what it was showing before you.
Probably. Considering it's on a bounty board.
Little not actual size of them on it, right?
Yeah, but back then nobody had those type of ideas.
Just a little asterisk, not to scale.
If it was to scale, I'm pretty sure Big Mama would be killed by now.
Indeed.
Or not squashed underneath a boot of a dwarf.
Unless the speed is to the max.
You'll never know.
Don't say that. Because we're all in the same town.
I know. You've already made it back into town, by the way.
Yay.
Alright. I take the spider poster. Then I turn my attention curiously to the Draconeg that lost his hand. Speaking fluently in Draconic. Happened to you.
The Dragonborn looks towards you. A dwarf made me lose my hand.
What did you do to lose it?
I betted my hand in arm wrestling.
Well, where would you say this dwarf is? Because I need some help, and I don't think you can lend a hand, per se.
The Dragonborn doesn't really understand the inaudible innuendo in front of you, in front of him.
Pun, you mean?
No, he couldn't lend a hand. It's an innuendo that he can't seem to grasp.
Oh, God's sake.
Yeah, we're going ham on these.
That's for later whenever they're serving dinner.
The Dragonborn looks at you with a little bit of a disdain in his tone. He headed out of the tavern long ago. Don't know where he went.
Was there anything special about him?
He was a dwarf, carrying a bow staff of sorts and an orb in his right hand.
A mage, a dwarven mage, took your hand.
As the Dragonborn looks down and it's almost incomplete facepalm with his only left hand. You make it sound so much more stupid.
Perhaps because it is.
You wouldn't be saying that if he slipped your grasp as you're trying to downstroke him.
That's 8.
No, that's around 12 already.
That's 12. I'm in keeping count.
Okay, apparently I'm just slow at that. Alright, that's 13. Okay.
Beautiful.
I simply turn out of the tavern and I start looking around for a mage guild.
You start looking for the Mage Guild?
That's right.
Now you're going to come across the same road little Keeba over here did. Left or right?
He went left or go right.
Yeah, it's forward, so right.
It's straight or right.
Yeah, straight or right. Straight or left?
It was
It was straight. Right was for the homing.
Yeah,
Straight was
right.
towards the fountain.
Yep.
Straight.
Straight. Heading forward, you come across the grand fountain in front. Yet again, the headless figure is spurting water into the fountain below.
How grotesque.
Roll a bit of a perception.
Rolling perception. 12.
12? Alright. You take notice that this statue seemed to have been moved. Moved. This statue itself has, on both sides, the left and right, great big stone handlebars.
Do they take those everywhere they go?
Does the town move?
It's from a previous quest that I did with Ron.
Oh.
You could still do whatever you want with this statue. Obviously, it could be moved.
I look around, still looking for the mage guild.
Walk around left or right.
Right.
Heading around the right side, you look at the wacky emporium to the right, seeing that its doors itself seem to be mixed-matched on pine and oak.
This piques my interest, but I do not go towards it.
Heading straight towards the Mages Guild, that seemed to be the biggest topic of today. There seemed to be a lot of people out the front, almost a big line of sorts. People almost seeming like they were complaining.
I walk up to someone and say, "What's all this about?"
Oh, there's been a dwarven mage going around causing a little bit of mayhem. Tripping about.
Where's he gone?
That's what we want to know.
Looking around can I see anyone that small?
Yes, because he had headed to the smith. Looking around, you start to notice that there's a smith across the other side. To the, now you're standing, it's to the right now. To the right side is the smith. You can see a small dwarf standing at the front arguing with two men.
I head towards the smith shop.
And this is where you two meet. You, on the other hand, you're in the tavern at this point. He's made it in. He was at the very top of the stairs.
Ah.
Now, we're gonna rotate to you.
Yay.
Does anyone have the time?
Huh? What time?
It is currently 4:06.
Not bad for an hour of gameplay.
I kind of need to stop.
Oh man.
Well,
Look, I agreed for 1 hour. Parents are expecting.
by 5.
They're needy, aren't they?
Until he moves
They
out,
worry.
he can't do anything
They
else.
worry.
Yes. They actually worry. They're not like your people.
Okay, they beat you when they get home.
That's all I have to play.
For being a minute late, they beat you.
Only if I show up late.
A minute late.
Not that much.
2 minutes late.
It's tradition.
It's tradition, boy.
Why
So-
do them sound like they're Scottish?
Because I can do a good Irish.
Oh, so we'll continue with Leonidas here, who's
Yeah.
in the top room of the tavern.
Alright.
You two are at the smithing. There is no good name for it. It's just literally a smithy.
Twin smithing.
I wouldn't say that, they're not twins.
Yeah, they're arguing with each other.
One is of orc race and then the other one is human.
Ah.
If you say twin, then they both are ugly brothers.
Plus, I chose one of my languages as orc.
Now you'll be able to know if he's cussing the other one out.
I'll just be
Alright.
Russian the entire time.
Episode 1, we're all in Grand Dock.
Everybody's at Grand Duck.
Well, currently we're on the town. Next time we'll be working with Leonidas.
Hopefully.
Maybe.
Leonidas has made it back into the town, but he's kind of flabbergasted as he had been attacking kobold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had killed a baby kobold.
He killed 2, and the townspeople are just like, he killed them all.
Yeah, I had to get away from that town.
Yeah,
He didn't mean to kill them all.
That's why I'm there. I was trying to get away.
making away. What was that town that you would call it?
That one with the kobolds?
Yeah.
Heck, I don't know.
Heck,
It
Idaho.
doesn't really matter. I ran away from it. It's pretty far away. It's okay.
Heck, sure.
I doubt we're
Actually-
going to be heading back there anyways.
Yeah.
Now, I love all the characters I've made so far for this town because there's a couple of unique NPCs. Others are kind of random and I'll have to go with whatever feels right in my gut whenever you meet them.
No, we're just gonna go
I'm going to try to write down on a piece of paper all these NPCs because some of them are supposed to have unique
You can
items.
take a picture if you'd like. Might be useful for your camera. That works too. Look, got all this paper.
Nah, you could just like send like this info.
I'll just send that through Discord.
Yeah.
Alright, you two keep your sheets.
I have it on Google Docs, my biggest platform for it.
Yeah, now you have something to bring for D&D.
Oh, they got
That's
some
pretty
extra
fun.
footage.
Yep.
We actually got pretty far.
Surprised you're still watching it this far.
I'll
Bunch
edit
of
it
noobs.
out.